Angel who records, whose hand seals upon the book of remembrance, who bears witness to all to enumerate every deed, since creation, from the beginning of the world to this day, from my cradle to my grave, I invoke you to read to me, to show me, to transcribe upon my heart, to place upon the mantle of my mind the pages of the book I petition for. Let it be the truth. Let that truth, come what may, ever be used to work the highest good. And so may it be. Hello, YouTube. This is Tammy Pie, and I'm back with another SKT deep dive video. And in fact, this is my last. This one I'm going to get into, as I mentioned before, the Qabalah, a little bit of I Ching, and I want to show you a few spots where the Golden Dawn is in the RWS deck, just right out in front of you. You just never maybe even noticed. The color coding and the elemental bits and the astrological bits and the Egyptian bits and the bits of the tradition of Qabalah are all in both the Thoth and the RWS deck, and so they are in SKT. Benebell, when she decided to do this deck, at first it was a magical process, right? We had 37 days of drawing until our fingers bleed, with the candles and invoking the spirits of Arthur Edward Waite and Aleister Crowley, with the idea of creating something that she could use that was kind of alive with the spirit of Thoth. This, over the next several years, became what we now know to be the Revelation edition, which is much more filled out, colored, filled in with great scenes from all over the world, and different gods and heroes and myths, some of which we know, some of which we're completely unfamiliar with. But that is the spirit of Prisca Theologica. I hope I'm saying that right. Hang on, let me look here. Prisca Theologia, okay? And that is a universal religion. That is taking bits of everything and showing us, or whoever wants to know, because most people really don't want to know. They want to think that their religion is the only one. But whoever wants to know, wants to study, wants to become enlightened, show them how alike we are, how we are more alike than we are not alike. And our stories are attempts to explain the great mysteries of life. Why are we born? Why do we die? Why him and not me? Why do I feel this way? Why do we get sick? Why does the sun leave and then come back? Why does the grass grow in the spring? So she, being Benebell, read a bunch of stuff. She looked into the esoteric schools such as Hermeticism, Rosicrucianism, Thelema, Zoroastrianism, which they do the angels, Persian Magi, Hinduism, the Eleusinian mysteries of ancient Greece, Jewish mysticism, esoteric Christianity, and all this through the cultural lens, inherited roots in esoteric Buddhism and Taoist ceremonial magic. So that is what is in our deck, okay? And that is what's called Prisca Theologica. And and I just wanted to point that out, because even though I may have said in passing, as I'm trying to get these videos out in a timely manner, she takes us all over the world. She brings in cultures and religions and stories and myth and theory from everywhere. And that is the beauty of SKT. So within the mind, the holy guardian angel is your divine higher genius. Okay, that is, I think that is a Thelema thing. I think it's an Aleister Crowley thing, because I know it's in the Golden Dawn stuff. So I also wanted to mention, because I didn't before, I went straight into the aces, because I think the aces kind of are like the beginning of everything. They hold the whole deck. And even if you have nothing but the free downloads, you have the majors and the aces. And that's because these are the four worlds of the Qabalah, right? The four elemental worlds: fire, water, air, and earth. Okay? 3 fools. I'm not sure if this is why, but in one of the earlier editions of the Thoth deck, there were 3 fools, and I think people still collect them. As far as I know, Aleister Crowley was going for kind of a Hermes deal, a green man deal, but the 3 fools in SKT kind of have 3 different jobs. You have the initiate, which is the one with the snake around the egg, and you can see the path kind of going on and like a cliff coming off. So that kind of reminds us of the cliff that Pamela Coleman Smith's fool is about to leap off of. The dog is saying, hey, wait a minute, maybe you should think. But then the path keeps going on beyond that. So in the initiate, you are in search of knowledge. You are in search of looking for the next thing, the next big thing. Hang on just a second. And I think there is even on the initiate, there is, I think on the doorway there above the frame, there is little pictures of the green man. So it's that new beginning, right? So then there is the seeker, and the seeker is when you're already knowledgeable, but you're looking for answers to questions. Okay, so if you take this whole conversation is going to come in threes like this, but if you take it like the tree of life, you have that beginning bloom of knowledge, the just whisper of things starting to happen, and the twos kind of striking a match, and the threes kind of blossoming. Then in the next level, you begin to start to say, okay, so this is where I am. This is where the ground is. This is how I continue on. And so the seeker will be looking for answers to questions, stable, secure, sincere questions, and in search of knowledge. Okay? Is there anything else I want to say about that? Not at this time. Okay. So then the final fool is the keeper. And in this deck, in SKT, each card holds an animistic quality. Each card is a spirit. It has been drawn to be a helper spirit, be a protective spirit, teach you something, give you answers to things you might not have known you even were going to ask. So the keeper is one who is brave enough to seek help from the outer cosmos, okay? So from the spiritual world, from your guides, from your saints, your gods, your goddesses, your ancestors, okay? That is the keeper. Now, in some cases, people are going to leave all these fools in, and that would be very interesting. It would be very interesting to get like 2 fools in a single reading, because it kind of would show you where you're at and where you're going. But I tend to use only one Fool, and I tend to use the Keeper because I'm very, very familiar with this deck, and I feel all those people. I am asking answers from the cosmos with the help of the ancestors, with the help of the gods, goddesses, and guides. Okay? So that is the Fools. Let's get into Qabalah. Okay, just before we do the Tree of Life, let me just say something about the 3 septenaries. So if you, and I know some of you do because there are a few people who have actually been watching these videos as they're done. The septenaries are, if you remove the Fool, the major arcana can be divided equally into 3 sets of 7. That first set of 7 is man discovering himself or woman discovering herself. Who you are, what you are, why you are. The second is us discovering universal laws and why we do what we do and how we get along. And then the third is us discovering the cosmos, being able to ask the star to give us hope and give us a hand to help us keep going, even though there are times when it feels like we cannot. Okay, so those are the septenaries, in case you hear the word septenary and you're like, what the hell? And this also goes along with the Kabbalistic tree because we have the triangles. So if you remember when we talked about the aces, I said this is the supernal triangle, the triangle of Keter, which is the beyond our understanding, the misty knowledge that we are not probably ever going to fully understand. There is Chokmah, which is the kings and the twos, and this is the top of the pillar of mercy. And then there is Binah, which is the queens and the threes, and this is the top of the pillar of, what is it? The severity. Okay, so the Keter goes right down the middle all the way to Earth, and I'll discuss more of that as we go on. Then the next triangle, that triangle is facing up. The next triangle is facing down, and the next triangle is facing down. Okay? So when we go down the Tree of Life, we go in the shape of a lightning rod. We, instead of just going around, we go back and forth. Okay? So we go Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Chesed, which is the 4s, Gevurah, which is the 5s, Tiferet, which is 6, and that's kind of in the middle, Nezdek, Hod, which is, Nezdek is 7, Hod is the 8, Yesod, Malkuth, Yesod, and Malkuth. I think Malkuth is the 10s, right? Yeah. Okay. So I wrote a few more notes this time than I usually do because some of this it's pretty complex, and that's why I waited till the very end to get into it. So we've got our supernal triangle, right? The aces, 2s, and 3s. And then the next triangle goes like this, right? And that is the ethical triangle. Once again, if you think about the 3 fools, the ethical triangle is where we are learning the universal laws, how we all have to keep our act together, right? And then the bottom one that goes down to Malkuth is the astral triangle, okay? That's where we are finally asking the universe, you know, how do we all, why can't we just all get along, please? Now, up in the supernal triangle between 2 and 3 is the invisible Sephiroth called Da'at. And Ta'at is kind of like a mixture of everything kind of right there. And that is a place where if you can reach Dot, you can almost begin to conceive of Keter, okay? So I just want to show you here. This is the High Priestess in the Rider-Waite-Smith. Very familiar card. There's a bunch of stuff that we all recognize. But here are the 3 pillars of the Qabalah, okay? The pillar of mercy, the pillar of severity, and the middle way, all right? Back here in the pomegranates are the Sephirah, okay? And here, this central moon, that would be Dot. Now, both the Justice card and the High Priestess have this veil, right? This veil is actually also a part of the Tree of Life. In the 10 of Pentacles, you see the pentacles here are in there's a supernal triangle, the ethical triangle, the, what do you call it? Cosmos triangle. Sorry, astral triangle, and then Malkuth, right? So there are your pillars, and there, okay? And then right here is where the moon would be. So right here, this is where the veil is, okay? And that veil is where everything above it is kind of mysterious. And we have to assume that that knowledge is sacred. And so we have to treat it with respect, okay? So I just wanted to show you little ways that Pamela Coleman Smith really did illustrate these things. They're just kind of really subtle and almost hidden until you know about them. It's pretty cool. Another thing that I kind of skipped over, and it's mostly because I don't really look at these that much, but she does give the explanation. The Phoenician letters that are on the cards, those letters are pre-Canaanite writing. So this is communication from a long time ago. And I believe each one of them has so many different symbols that they become powerful kind of sigils almost. So you can use those magically. I do not, but that's worth looking into if you have a printed copy of the Book of Maps, or even, I believe in her her metaphysical planner, that is also kind of outlined. Okay, so what else did I want to show? So the last thing I kind of wanted to touch on is the I Ching. And there have been a couple of different decks that have I Ching reference. Heindel pops to mind, but there's a couple other ones. And of course there are several I Ching oracles. The I Ching is a much older, I think, a much older document. It's actually not a very long thing. It's based on Confucianism, and but the quantity and the breadth of what has been written about the I Ching makes it a kind of a font of wisdom. The way Benebell did this is completely different from the other decks. So don't expect to find like an easy, equal correspondence. I believe what Handel and I don't know if Rachel Pollack worked with him, but when she wrote the books, basically what they did was look at the hexagrams, which are the 6 lines all put together, and give you kind of hexagrams that go with tarot meanings as they knew them. So what Benebell is doing, and she has a kind of a deeper knowledge of the I Ching because she's actually studied this from when she was a tiny kid. She had to go to the Buddhist temple and study with monks. She also actually translated the actual I Ching from Chinese to English as we speak it now. So it's really good. And if you really want to get into it, go get the book. I haven't read this entire book. It is another Benebell tome. However, this much of it is the I Ching correspondences, the hexagrams, and throw your pennies and do your daily I Ching work. So her way of doing it, I think, really, really worked. And what she did was she took the 8 trigrams, which if you know what the bagua is, or even if you don't, what it is just an 8-sided shape. Some people put it on like their houses or different places as a blessing. And these are the 8 Chinese elements, and some of them are the same as ours, like air or earth, water, but some of them are different, like lake, wind, thunder. I think we do have fire, mountain, and what's the other one? Thunder? Did I say thunder? Anyway. So yeah, I'll put a little thing up. So what she did is, if you do 8 times 8, I think it's 64 or something like that. She fit it all in, and I've done a reading or maybe 2 where I used the cards from the reading and showed you how to do the I Ching hexagram. But what ends up happening is that can really deepen and enrich your reading, because you can bring that Confucian wisdom in, and because the way she did it kind of matches the hexagram, or the hexagram that you get when you put those 2 trigrams together will go with the tarot archetypes. So your reading actually is congruent. It works together in a way that I don't think the other guys really understood how to get that in there, but she did. So that is really exciting. I don't want to get too bogged down in this, first of all, because I really do want to get it finished, because I have other things that I want to do, and I've been out for a while because the family's been sick. My mom fell, all kinds of stuff happened, but I do also want to do one more reading. And I think what I'm going to do is maybe use SKT1, because I don't think I used SKT1 even once in a reading. And we'll do like a nice, simple, maybe 3 card. That way we're not bogged down. And then I will throw the coins. Now, what shall I do? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to do a 3 card. I discovered the other day that I could take, with a 3 card, I could take the first 2 and have them be the first trigram, and the second two and have them be, or the first hexagram and the second two cards and have it be the second. So I can now do the changing lines. It was sciencey. I had to just figure it out. So I'm going to do that, but it's going to be with SKT1 because I think all my threes are over in the apartment. Okay. But I'll try and outline it so that it's simple, so that if you have revelation, you can figure it out. All right. All right, here we go. And I actually am going to ask a question of this deck that is personal and real, because we have kind of a legal issue going on in the family right now. I say we. It really is not my issue necessarily, although it does affect me. And I want to know two things. I want to know if this will be resolved in our favor quickly, within the next 6 months. Okay, so this is a very exact question. Will this legal issue be resolved in the kid's favor within 6 months, the way we want it resolved? Okay. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. Now, as I was setting up for this, I thought, I'm going to bring RWS and Thoth into this too. So once I do my reading, I'll show you those cards in RWS and Thoth, and we can look at them and see if the reading is similar or different, okay? So I'm going to turn all 3 of these. We have a herald. So I'm going to take the next card as a message from the herald. Ooh, very interesting. Okay, so Ivory Shield for me is a very positive card. It is the authority of water, and living on an island the way I do, and with Polynesian kids, the water is really important to me. And look at this starfish here in the World card. And then we get the stronghold of the Grail. So this looks very positive to me. Very positive. But also with that Emperor there, I can't help but feel like that Emperor is saying, stay the course. Stay the course. This will come to pass, but there will still be more that needs to be done, I think. Okay? So, the Ivory Shield, positive power and protection of water, New World Order, the completion of your great work, and a message from the the world of impossible dreams, and that is never stop. Even though this may come to pass, you may still have work to do on it. Which doesn't surprise me. Okay, that is actually a pretty good answer to my question. The answer is yes. And I'll let you know if actually this does work out in our favor. Okay, so let's see what we can do as far as bringing the I Ching into this. So with the I Ching, let's see. I don't know if there's a trigram on the. I'm gonna have to come back to you. I'll be right back. All right, here we go. I'm sorry if this is like frustratingly confusing, but okay. It's a real thing for me, so this is well, it's a great reading, so it's good entertainment. So what I did just now was I had to turn off the camera because I had to look on my tablet in the book of maps to see, because I left my other decks over in the apartment, to see which I Ching trigrams were on each of these. And it was an interesting thing. I knew this was going to be Earth because it's the world, right? But what I didn't realize is both of these are wind, okay? So they both are the same trigram. So what I have done here basically is the first trigram is this, so wind over the earth, and the second trigram is earth over wind, which I don't know, I guess it happens once in a while. And then I'm taking the message out of the I Ching reading. Is earth over wind is hexagram 46, and wind over earth is hexagram 20. Okay, so it's like that. Okay, so the earth is the world. That is my second card. My first card is the Queen, right? So she's going to be the bottom part of the first hexagram. And the second card is going to be the top part of the first hexagram. And that's hexagram 46. So Earth is the world. Got it? The second trigram, after I change lines, is going to be the second card at the bottom because it comes before the third card, and the third card on the top. So it becomes wind over earth. Okay? Wind over earth. All right? Now, between these two trigrams, the first line that changes is that first line. So I'm going to take that as the changing line, line 1. Okay? Now, for my people who are into I Ching, you're totally going to get this. I'm taking out the Emperor because that is the message from the page, has nothing to do with anything. Okay, so, and this is cool, all right? So like I was saying, these I Ching readings are amazing because they actually kind of work with the reading. So hexagram 46 is Sheng hoist. Step up and push up. It is time to rise up the ranks. Reach above and beyond, expand. Small victories accumulate to become greatness. One victory hoists up another until you attain supreme success. The winds of change are blowing in your favor, and the resources of earth present themselves to you. How a tree grows, resilient and adaptable, yet solid and stable, inspires the path you will take to glory. Honor your roots, for your roots determine your staying power. Within the earth, a tree grows. A tree grows atop a high mountain. The sage adheres to virtuous practice and grows upward like the tree, favorable to meet the eminent one. And the first line, the changing line, Pushing upward with conviction, great gains and fortune. If you push upward toward your goal, you will succeed. The winds of change are blowing in your favor, and the resources of earth make themselves available to you. Wealth and honor come to you when you assert yourself and reach for what you want. Okay? So remember what I was saying. This is a very positive reading, and I believe that this will come to pass, and I will let you know. I mean, hopefully. All right. So, and then hexagram 20 after the changing line is Guan, observation. Before you proceed, give the matter a thorough reassessment. A more complete observation of the situation is called for. Do you know your own merits and your faults? Are you sure you're entirely right? Honor the gods and ancestors to receive further insight. Sometimes it's not the judgment that needs observation, but the judge. To contemplate the matter, go alone where you can observe the wind moving the earth. Nature will give you the counsel you seek. Okay, so like I said, what ends up happening when you pull the I Ching out of these SKT cards, because she knew the two systems so entirely, they work together. All right. So just for funsies, I wanted to lay the reading out as a Thoth reading. And I mean, you can see what you see in Thoth if you're a Thoth reader. So same question. Will this legal situation come to pass in our to our advantage within the next 6 months? And I'll even give you the Emperor as the message from the Princess. Okay? And again, this is like, so this Queen of Cups, this is my significator. She's a contemplator. She's a learner. So everything that you've absorbed, everything that you have come to know from studying all this time has now brought you to the finish line of a project that has been long dreamt of. Okay, and once you are there, there's more to be had, but you have to be careful. You have to look at all the things that led you to this point and make sure that you do it all the right way if you want to keep control of your kingdom. Okay? Yes. All right, let's look at RWS. RWS is going to be most familiar to most people. So there's our Queen, there's our world, there's our page, and there's the message from the page. Okay? And maybe it's just my brain, but I don't see anything different here. I see the Queen, she's facing the past, right? So she has gained all this knowledge from having done all these different things back here. Even the world is looking back here going, you've got it. All these things that you learned, she's even looking at that cup. All the stuff you did has become this complete project. And then this page here is, they're all looking in the right direction. Even the Emperor kind of is looking over here. And the fish is saying, make sure, he's whispering in his ear, make sure that you stay on top of things. Because if you want to keep control, you have to keep learning. Interesting. A little bit more from that RWS page, right? All right. That's it for me, folks. I am so hot. I'll be back with another video very shortly. I'm definitely going to do a Thoth video, but I think I've got like a couple of decks coming, so it might be an unboxing or haul or something, okay? All right. Thank you for coming, and bye.